Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial, and today we're going to be talking about Microsoft. And the reason we're talking about Microsoft is because they are going to be announcing earnings later this week. They are going to be announcing earnings on January 24th, and that earnings is going to come after hours, so that report is going to come out, and then they are going to be having their conference call at 5:30. So this should be a super interesting one. As you can see, EPS has continued to trend nicely upwards. This is generally speaking one of their stronger quarters. Again, it is inclusive of most of the holiday season of Q4. So one of the things that I'm going to be looking at going forward is not just the earnings, because we are expecting them to decline year over year. So you did see those numbers of the 2.45. Now we're looking at the estimate is 223 to 238. That is, or right now, the estimate is about a 6.5% decline. And we're also going to be looking at revenue growth around 3%. Something that I would highlight whenever we're talking about increasing revenue at this point in time, that we would like that to be above the rate of inflation. So there was this huge shift to tech, to stay-at-home technology. Microsoft Teams was a huge beneficiary there, as well as other Microsoft Office products. And Microsoft continued to do very, very well over the past 2 years. The question is going to be, what are they doing now to continue their profitability? So right now you can see total revenue has been relatively flat quarter over quarter. However, when we look at the annual, you can see that they continue to do incredibly well, with some key differences being $125 million in total revenue at the end of 2019. And in 2022, that is just south of 200 billion. So I'll clarify that once more: 126 billion and about 198 billion in revenue. And that's those annual numbers now. So the question is going to be, what do we expect for this earnings announcement? And probably more important than the earnings announcement itself is going to be, what are they going to be doing going forward? So in 2022, the company hired about 40,000 employees. One of the things that we can expect is that they are going to comment on their recent cuts to the labor force. So you can see down here in terms of the cost of revenue, the key target that they're looking at here is how can they drop down some of the selling expenses, again, depending on if any of those individuals were from their sales force. And you can also see, again, those admin expenses, those worker expenses, they want to see this number drop a little bit. So that's about a 5% layoff of the total company. The other question going forward, as we look to expand or to evaluate the company expectations, is that on the 1-year chart, you can see we've been in a decline, much like broader tech. However, if we look at a farther out kind of 5-year move, you can see that on a trend line basis, if we were to stay in a set channel, and by no means am I considering myself a technical investor, but just from the trend, I would not be surprised to see that if we continue a upward motion, if the overall market is in compliance, because we do have a lot of big tech that are going to be targeting this move. So I'm purely targeting the narrative right now, not necessarily a technical discussion over the stock and how it's moving. But as you can see, we've been on this decline over the past year. The question is, do we normalize and stall out at these levels, or do we start to trend upward again? As someone who is overall a market bear, I could still see how we could continue to rock a little bit higher, maybe around the SPY 330, 340 range, or 430, 440 range. And I think some of the things that could do that is big wins in Microsoft earnings, as well as some of the other big tech. Something that I'm going to be keen on watching is the announcement of what they're planning on doing with their investment in ChatGPT, the AI software that they plan on leveraging as part of their Bing search engine. And I am very much so looking forward to seeing how that plays into their forward-looking thinking. As you can see right now, from a valuation perspective, they continue to be below industry averages across the board right now based off the recent decline. That being said, that's from a trading perspective, and the most recent industry numbers we have were from the last quarter, which are going to be a little bit outdated at this point. So, can ChatGPT help them build a story that will help them push that narrative, or do we think that there's going to continue to be some pain points? I will be commenting on the company after they announce earnings as well, but I think that this is one that's going to be super interesting to watch and does have an opportunity to do very, very well. You can see on my year-to-date chart that they really haven't moved anywhere over the course of the year. They've continued to be in that 235 to 240 range, and we may see a potential break upwards this week if they announce good earnings. However, keep in mind that investing in the market will continue to be volatile over this calendar year. That being said, I'm by no means a financial advisor. I'm just some guy on YouTube. But this is what I'm going to be watching for is forward-looking guidance associated with revenue as well as cost and how that ties into overall net income. And lastly, I'm also going to be making sure I pay particular attention to some of the narrative they have surrounding ChatGPT and other advancements that they're looking to make in the cloud space. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching and come back soon. Talk to you later.